Okay. Vito. I'm gonna show y'all boys where I'm from, man. I'm from
Talk
that.
about how he got his belt. Let's talk about that. How did he get his belt? Well, Terence Crawford was the undisputed champion, right? But Crawford didn't want to, I guess they didn't want to negotiate with Boots. You know, Boots has been after Crawford for some time now. He wants all that smoke, man, at the end of the day. You know, I don't understand how let me just say this. I don't understand how we're saying we want Benavidez and we want Canelo Alvarez. We want Benavidez and Canelo Alvarez. Well, Crawford was at 147 at one point. Now he's at 54. However, why can't we get a Crawford and Boots Ennis? You know, when Crawford was the undisputed champion, he could have fought against Boots Ennis then. You know, to me, it seems to me that Crawford is being just like Spence was to him. You know, when Crawford moved up to 147, Spence said, "Get a belt." Crawford got a belt. He's like, "Okay, what's the excuse now? You know, what you need me to do?" Well, you ain't fought anybody. You're hearing the same excuses coming from the Crawford team. You know, the way he did it with Spence, the same thing Spence did to him. At the end of the day, is he ready for a Crawford? Boots Ennis? Yes, he's ready right now for a Terence Crawford. I'm telling you, okay, because he's athletic. He's just as long and big. He can switch southpaw. He can do everything that Terence Crawford can do. But the only thing that I see that's different is the mentality as far as how to control the fight. Crawford's the best.
What's the deal, baby? Y'all they know Big Boss how bossed out cake. Poe through the dope. Here to talk this boxing was good with you before I get about soliloquy. Remember, tough times don't last, good people do. Don't off yourself. Call them in that hotline. Remember, you better. Peep game. Poe got, you know, Poe Dope got like. I ain't gonna hold you. I got a couple videos, man, that I'm finna drop. Ain't no safety on this Glock. I got a lot of videos that I don't drop, you know, because I be like, feel like it. You know, it be a lot of topics, you know, that I discover, you know, I find out or, you know, read, because I be reading articles, you know what I'm saying? And I encourage everybody to start reading again, bro. You know, America trying to dumb us down, bro. Start reading again. Start being self-sufficient. You know what I mean? Like, I real talk. Like, start reading. Do not fall in love with this technology, tech savvy, and all that foolishness. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, Boss got a whole bunch of videos. My bad, somebody text me, and I'm finna drop it. But let's talk about some bald head Bradley, in the words of Shakur Stevenson. Let's talk about what Timothy Bradley had to say. So Timothy Bradley was on Pro Box TV, and he talked about how Jaron Ennis want to smoke with Terence Crawford, right? And Terence Crawford is kind of like dismissing Jaron Ennis, kind of how Errol Spence was dismissing Terence Crawford. That's according to Timothy Bradley, right? He's saying that Jaron Ennis was Terence Crawford's mandatory. Terence Crawford didn't want to negotiate with Jaron Ennis, and that's why he got stripped of his title. He don't believe that Jaron Ennis is an email champion, because Jaron Ennis wanted to fight Terence Crawford, but Terence Crawford didn't want to negotiate with him. And he says he's hearing a bunch of excuses from Terence Crawford and his camp. I don't normally agree with Timothy Bradley, a.k.a. Baldhead Bradley, but he partially right. Hear me out. Terence Crawford was undisputed at 147. Jaron Ennis was the mandatory for the IBF belt, right? Terence Crawford could have wrote the IBF and say, look, I want to do this rematch with Errol, or hey, I want to go to 54. You know, whatever the case is, I have these adventures or these ideas that I want to fight, you know, this person. I might fight Errol. I'm just writing you, but as I'm done fighting these people, I'll fight Jaron Boots Ennis. Terence Crawford never communicated with the IBF. He never did. He just thought, oh, they ain't gonna say nothing, right? And his excuse was, oh, y'all didn't say nothing to Errol when, but you don't know what Errol was doing. You don't know if Errol was communicating with them or not. You know what I mean? Now, granted, last time I checked, Errol Spence was fighting unifications. And unifications trump mandatories. That was the only time that they're able to be like, all right, cool, you don't have to fight your mandatory, right? So Errol Spence, I know a lot of people bring up, he ain't fought no mandatory in the IBF in a couple years since Ocampo. Well, the only reason he ain't fought a mandatory because he was unified. That's what it is. He was injured and then he was unified, right? And that's why I say this dude don't get that much credit, man. The nigga was injured, come back, fight a unification. Let that sink in. Normally dudes, they come off injuries, they want to tune up fight. Nah, Errol like, nah, man, I want to fight him. He got a belt. All right, yeah, I'm going to fight him. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no easy fights either. So, you just got to get that man's credit, bro. You know what I'm saying? The man ain't going to be running from no smoke. You know what I mean? So, but Bud didn't do that. Bud didn't write them, IBF say, hey, look, I know y'all want me to fight Boots, and which he knew, him and Errol knew, right? Because the IBF wanted Errol to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. It's like, if you don't make this Crawford fight, you got to fight Boots. And Errol said, cool, I'm willing to do that. Because Crawford playing. So now, Errol was able to make the fight with Terence Crawford. The IBF told both of them, hey, bro, whoever win this fight and become undisputed, you got to negotiate. You got a certain time to negotiate and come to terms with Boots and fight Boots. That didn't happen. For Terence Crawford in his camp. Terence Crawford was doing his victory lap, and he failed to notify the IBF, and he got stripped. Pause. That's just how the cookie crumbled. He got stripped. Stripped. You know what I'm saying? Pause. So he became the unified champion at 147 pounds instead of being undisputed. He became undisputed, and then that was quickly taken away from him because he didn't negotiate a fight with the IBF in the proper time. So that's what I agree with Timothy Bradley on. It's like, hey, you had a shot to, negotiate with Jaron Ennis, and you failed to do so. So due to the fact that you failed to do so, right, you got this dude who wants to fight you. He wants to fight you. That's what he want to do. He want to get in the ring with you. Pause. He wants to. He was willing to risk his oath, right? But you hearing Terence Crawford and his team saying, oh, he not ready. Oh, he get hit too much. Hey, that don't matter. Now y'all want to have sympathy for him. Oh, well, he get hit too much. What did that got to do with you? Your job is to hit him. You know what I'm saying? Your job is to knock him out. He get hit too much. The young fella get hit too much, man. Hey, man, he calling you out. He wants some smoke. Sign the contract and fight that man. All that stuff about he get hit too much, I told you, that's excuses. I'm not the only one that felt that way. Baldhead Bradley, who's Terence Crawford's friend, is saying the same thing I'm saying. He like, look, man. In other words, you running for some smoke from Boots. You trying to little boy the boy. Nah, I don't agree with him about the Errol Spence comment. Because he said Errol Spence was like, oh, making excuses. Errol didn't make no excuses with Terence Crawford. He was very direct when it came to Terence Crawford. Because he brought up, oh, they said Terence Crawford get a belt. And then he went and got a belt. Then there was another excuse. Pause. Let's put a bookmark right there. I'm at the gym right now, but, I'm wired up. I'm finna go in here, but let me make my point, and I'm going to conclude. Max Kellerman brought up Terence Crawford to Errol Spence. Errol Spence wasn't worrying about no dang Terence Crawford. Errol Spence was worrying about Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was the #1 welterweight at 147 pounds at that time, right? Errol Spence wanted Keith Thurman. That was his mindset, like Keith Thurman, right? Max Kellerman also and other people brought up Errol Spence to Terence Crawford. But also, Keith Thurman was on Terence Crawford's mind. That's the first person he called out at 147 pounds. He kept calling out Keith Thurman, right? Just like Errol kept calling out Keith Thurman, right? But Keith Thurman was little boy in both of them, right? So then, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford so happened to come across each other, right? Because they were mentioned to each other, right? This fight was set up by the media. This is what I be saying. This fight was set up by the media to take the tension off of Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was the #1 welterweight at that time. I think at that time he had 2 belts. If I'm mistaken, he had the WBA and the WBC belt. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. But all I'm saying is that Keith Thurman was that guy, right? He was the face of 147 pounds at said time, right? So now, Keith Thurman is not willing to fight these guys. So they said, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford. In which, hey, it worked out beautifully because they're both competitive. They both were talking trash to each other backstage at that Top Rank event in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And it was good entertainment, right? And that's when Terence Crawford locked in on Errol Spence. Errol Spence, he knew, like, I'm going to have to fight Terence Crawford. But I'm trying to follow the path that my handlers want me to go. They want me to go through this person and this person, right? Errol Spence would have fought Terence Crawford sooner than that, right? I think that was before he fought Mikey Garcia, like months before he fought Mikey Garcia. He told them, hey, tell your people to call Al Heyman and we can get this thing cracking. Because at that time, Errol Spence wasn't that big of a star. You got what I mean? Like, Errol Spence was entertaining. He was putting butts in seats, pause, but he wasn't that big of a star as of yet. He fought Mikey and his fan base grew, right? Errol Spence was still a bigger star than Terence Crawford. Don't get it twisted. But he wasn't doing, like those 30,000, 40,000, you know what I mean? I think he had just fought at the Star. He fought Ocampo. And then the Mikey Garcia fight, that's when he fought at the big stadium. And then from then on, that's when he kept fighting at the big stadium. So all I'm saying at the end of the day is, Errol Spence didn't little boy Terence Crawford. Errol Spence was very transparent with Terence Crawford. He told him straight up, look, in the beginning, tell Bob to call Al. It didn't happen, right? So Errol Spence was like, hey, after that, and he kept saying that, hey, tell so-and-so to call so-and-so. Never happened. So then he said, hey, look, I'm going to get these belts, and then I'm going to fight Terence Crawford undisputed. He did exactly what he said. Errol Spence didn't deviate, and this is what I be saying. When you look at Terence Crawford, you see his words don't match his actions, right? Terence Crawford then said some things, and then he did something else. Errol Spence, everything he said he was going to do, he did it. He said, look, I'm going to get these belts, I'm going to fight Terence Crawford undisputed. Did exactly that. Only thing he didn't do was beat Terence Crawford to become undisputed. Only thing he didn't do in that fight was make it a historical fight as far as it being the Hagler Hearns. It was a one-sided domination. Terence Crawford dominated that night. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. When you look at that fight, it was supposed to be historic, but it wasn't, right? Now, me personally, I'm not going to lie to you, this is going to be controversial. I think Terence Crawford has lost a step. You may be like, what? What you mean? Terence Crawford, if a young Terence Crawford was dominating at Errol Spence like that, he wouldn't have had no mercy on him. No, he would have stepped on Errol. And it made me realize that that killer instinct that Terence Crawford has is kind of burning out, right? It's burning out. Think about it. He dominated Errol. But old Terence Crawford, the one that fought Hank Lundy, the one that fought Gamboa, the one that fought the list goes on. The young Terence Crawford would have stepped on Errol if he was whooping Errol like that. Right? I also feel like Errol lost a step. So you got two guys. Errol lost a step because of injury. And you got Terence Crawford who lost a step because of father time. Right? These are the things I see. Because, either way it go, I feel like that fight, they probably should have fought that fight earlier. They would have fought that fight with Terence, won that belt from Jeff Horn. It would have been fireworks. It would have been fireworks. You know what I mean? Could have been a different outcome. Could have been the same outcome. But I think it would be a more entertaining fight than them fighting last year. You know what I'm saying? That's just my perspective. But they built the fight. But I think it would, my opinion, I feel like it would have been a bigger fight back then. What's that, 2018, 2019. I feel like that would have been a bigger fight then, because now you got Terence Crawford, a young, hungry Terence Crawford, who got a belt. You got Errol, who had one belt, unification. A younger, more meaner Terence Crawford, a younger, more meaner Spence. Who gonna be the meanest? Who gonna quit? You know what I'm saying? Because you got two competitive dudes in there. Pause. But that's off the subject. I agree with Tim Bradley to an extent. Terence Crawford is little boying Jaron Ennis. I think that's a fight he needs to make. I think that's a fight he needs to look into. Not gonna lie to you. You fighting, I'm hearing he want to fight Triple G. And I'll tell you something. That's a dangerous fight for him too. Because Triple G, he may be old, but the last thing that goes is that power. All I'm saying is, that's a dangerous fight for Terence Crawford. Triple G still can punch. He might want to rethink that. You couldn't do nothing with Madrimov, a young Madrimov, right? What you think you gonna do with the old Triple G? Canelo couldn't even stop Triple G. And Triple G was 40 years old. That's all I'm saying. I get it. Triple G been off. All I'm saying is that's a dangerous fight. That boy Triple G different, bro. Like, and I'm not even a fan of Cuz like that. But he got power. And if he land on a button on Crawford, so Terence Crawford, only option is to fight Boots, man. Make Boots come up to 54 or fight at a catchweight, whatever the case is. We just want to see the fight. You know what I'm saying? You'll make a lot of money. That's the money fight for you right now. Errol Spence, there's not no money in that fight. Him rematching Errol. You know what I'm saying? Now, it could be, depending on how Errol look against Fundura, and if Errol is to beat, Errol could beat Fundura, which I feel like that's a very tough fight for Errol. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a very tough fight. That fight rough for Errol. I don't know if he get that done. You know what I'm saying? But me knowing Errol ain't running for no smoke. Errol there to take down giants. He the David. He want to take down Goliath. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see what he do. But Terence Crawford need to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. Stop little boying him. Stop making excuses. Fight Boots. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Boss go.